A residential block of flats in London could become a surface-to-air missile launch site. The army is planning to position weapons on a roof to ward off any terror threats during the Olympics. People living in the building say no one's asked them. A Plymouth businessman rises 24 places in the Sunday Times rich list. The Range store's owner, Chris Dawson, is now worth £380 million. So if you're invited into a radio station or a TV station for an interview, what should you expect? Well, here we are in a standard radio station. We've got two studios here. We're going to go into this one here. So through the door, and this is what you can expect from most radio stations in the country. You've got a big desk here. This is over here where the presenter will sit, or the person interviewing you, and they will have a whole range of different things to press. They've got these screens here with all sorts of exciting things to look at here. Lots of faders, buttons, things to control the programme, and the microphones. This is the presenter microphone, and you've got some guest microphones. So they'll be sat in the chair here, looking through a gap in all their monitors and talking to you. Don't be worried though if they move their head away and aren't looking at you, because they've got to think about other things going on during the programme whilst asking questions and getting your answer. So you might be answering away and thinking, oh, they haven't got very good facial contact, they're not actually speaking to me directly. Well, they are listening, but they're also preparing something else for later on. So that's one thing to take into account. Now let's go around the other side of the desk. So you would be sitting the other side here, and they would get you positioned in front of the microphone. They would get you to do a sound check. So whilst something was playing on air, some music, they would pre-fade this microphone so it doesn't go out and say, could you just tell me your name and what you had for breakfast? And they would set a level. And then they would just tell you about what they're going to ask you, possibly, and say we'll be going live in the next 2 minutes after this song. Or they might be doing a recorded interview where none of that would happen. They would just get to your levels and prepare you to speak recorded, and that would be edited, possibly get a few news cuts out of that, or perhaps a longer interview to go on a news programme. Not really anything to worry about. It's quite a nice warm studio. The sound is very dead. That's because it's got special padding on the walls here. And if you've got fans and supporters, lots of windows for them to come and watch you through. Don't let them put you off though. That is really the quick tour of the average radio studio. Now, we're looking at a screen that the journalists will use. Now, this is the sort of screen that journalists use all across the country, whether it be radio or actually television as well, for news gathering and news preparation. Now, the idea of this is for you to see what the journalist is looking at when they look for news. So this is called Burley, but there are other products similar to this around. And you've got a news feed here where you've got stories coming in, you've got audio dropping in as well, and you've got if we go down some of these, we've got in this window here the different stories with the text, and you can see there is audio attached to it. So you've got 17 seconds of audio here. And what the journalist will do is pull news from here, and perhaps they'll have some local news folders as well, where they have prepared stories, and they will put them into a bulletin. And here is an example of a bulletin here, and then we can put it into reading mode. So this is how the journalist will reads that news bulletin. And also in this news bulletin you've got audio, and here's an example of the audio if we bring it up on the desk.
We've got a £3 million investment programme happening at Land's End.
So it can be fired.
I think it's a chance to get a message out to a wider audience about that's all happening, that things at Land's End are changing and improving. So
you can fire audio within the news bulletin. But the main thing I really want you to look at is this news feed. Look at all that news coming in. And there's emails dropping in as well. We've got pieces from other websites being flagged up. a lot of news stories coming down. So when you send your news stories through, your press releases through, they're one of these emails coming through which has to be looked at, another story to be dropped in. So you've got to think how to make your story stick out in a news feed like that.